Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. As 2015 comes to a close, there are flashy award ceremonies to honour the best and brightest games of the year, the majority of which focus on the big budget, big hype games from the big name publishers. In the same spirit, I'm going to honour my favourite games of 2015 in this inaugural really cheap video game awards. Cheap referring both to the games and the video's production values, but I don't have the budget to hire Deadmau5 to perform at the interval, so I'll work with what I've got. First up is the cheap and cheerful category for the commercial game that gave me the most enjoyment, despite hardly breaking the bank. And the winner is Downwell. Downwell is a frenetic and frantic action platformer with vertical scrolling shooter elements that require sharp reflexes and tactical decisions. You play as an unnamed character perpetually falling down a well, shooting bullets out of your shoes and stomping on enemies' heads. And for such a simple concept, there's a good deal of tactical depth to the gameplay, and it's definitely hard to master. I certainly haven't completed the game, but as I'm no stranger to roguelikes, that doesn't bother me too much. What does bother me is the great bat conspiracy that all game devs seem to be in on to make bats the most annoying enemy in any video game you care to mention. Next up is the category for best mileage from a free game. How much depth can there be in a game that doesn't cost anything? Well, apparently a lot. The winner is Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup is one of the classic roguelikes, in almost continual development for many years now, always changing, improving, and polishing features, until we have the masterpiece of the roguelike genre that it is today. While it didn't come out this year, it had two big updates this year, and 2015 has been the year when I've really invested a lot of time into it, as anyone who follows my channel will already know. I feel like the game clicked with me earlier this year, and with the many different races, dozens of classes, epic dungeon with varied branches, and pantheon of gods that drastically change your playstyle, I feel like there is still much to experience in Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, and it doesn't cost a penny. Sometimes it's worth prizing open that wallet, blowing out the dust, and paying for real quality. The award for worth splashing the cash goes to Pillars of Eternity. Pillars of Eternity isn't quite in the price range of AAA titles, nor is it, however, a $10 indie game. It's a sort of rare in-between title that you don't see as much these days, where a sizable studio puts out a niche yet highly polished product. And it is fantastic. Pillars of Eternity revives the isometric RPG genre in serious style, featuring beautiful pre-rendered backdrops and detailed character models so you can see the gear you have equipped on. All of the depth of those old RPGs like Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale is back, with many different playstyles, moral choices and plot twists, and some modernizing touches that make Pillars of Eternity a bit less punishing. I was completely sucked into this game, racking up 50 hours on one playthrough, and to top it all off, they're releasing full-on, old-fashioned expansion packs to extend the game even further. My Steam library, like many others, is stuffed full of games that I've never played, like the board game covered in a hospital waiting room. This award is for what I played this year that I really should have played a lot earlier. The winner of Best of Backlog is the Blackwell series. Okay, it's more than one game, but they follow on from each other and there is an interesting story arc that develops across the games. The Blackwell games are classic point-and-click adventure games from point-and-click Maestro's Wadget Eye Games, and they have been sat in my Steam library for at least 3 years for no damn good reason. I started playing my way through them recently, and they're great. Nostalgic pixel art, compelling characters that are well voice acted, and intriguing plots. You play as a young medium with a ghostly companion who helps restless spirits move on by solving mysteries surrounding their deaths, and in classic point-and-click style, you do so by gathering clues and using objects on things until something works. If you're a fan of the point-and-click genre and you have one of these sat in your library unplayed, I suggest finally hitting that install button. And finally, well, I have to have one. It's like a law or something with these awards. My game of the year for 2015 is Undertale. I know, it's not a very original choice, but there's a reason this game is sweeping up so many awards this year, or being robbed of them. Undertale is an absolutely charming RPG, chock full of humor and lovable characters, and the story has meaningful choices and emotional depth. I'll try not to spoil anything for you, but there are different ways to play the game with different outcomes, and the game is so well programmed, your choices can also be reflected in subsequent playthroughs. You start the game as an unnamed human child stuck in a dungeon with lots of monsters, and you adventure through the underworld trying to break out and get home. Not earth-shattering stuff story-wise, but everything is so well presented, I found myself completely gripped and filled with determination, even through the crazy bullet hell boss fights that made me want to tear my hair out. If you play one hyped up game this year, make it this one. That wraps up this year's awards. The trophies are in the post. I look forward to seeing what 2016 has to offer, so I can add it to my Steam library and not touch it for 10 years. Goodbye!